Morning, folks. Phil Gallagher here for Daily D&T. This week of Daily D&T is brought to you by School of Maverick, so thank you very much for supporting the series. I pulled a deck list off of MTG Top 8 that was from Brazil. This is in Antonio Lucas Longo's deck list. Features a bunch of interesting fun ofs, so I thought it would be a good deck list to pull for this series. There's a Castle Ardenvale. It enters tapped unless you control a plains. It taps for white mana, or you can pay 4 and tap it to create a 1/1 white human creature token. I don't really think the power level of this card is quite there, and I think that this is relatively slow, and that it's maybe not the best time in this Ren and 6 world, but hey, let's give it a go. We have a Brightling in here, a Brimaz in here, a Sword of Truth and Justice in here, so all of those things made me want to try out this deck list. And let's look at one thing real quick. Yeah, we gotta fix that. Bad plains art out. Good plains art in. I guess we can be good and split these too. Two, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and jump into things. There's not really too much else that's exciting about this deck list. There was a choice to play Mother of Runes over Giver of Runes, and so I'm going to honor that choice, even though I think Giver is better than Mom right now in the Ren and 6 world that we do live in. And I really want to play in the Legacy Challenge, but I have a midday commitment, and I can't. I've got a couple of deck lists that I'm really enjoying in doing some testing for the Legacy Premier League. Probably don't want to talk too much about it because this video is going to go out on Monday and my deck lists aren't due until Tuesday night. So maybe on the Wednesday or Thursday video I can talk about what I've been mucking with a little bit. Nope. Yep. So it's a little bit of a difficult choice what to throw back. I'm going to throw back the Swords to Plowshare since it's the worst card in a vacuum, and I have a super great Vile Curve here that I don't necessarily want to disrupt. My hope is that I can play Vile on 1, have it resolve, wasteland my opponent, then dump in Mom, Thalia, and Brimaz off this. Alright, Forest pitching Dovin's Veto, question mark. So we're probably playing against Miracles, where Mom will be noticeably better than Thalia. This isn't playing to the strengths of Mother of Runes by taking this line, but I'd really like to muck up my opponent's hand by playing out Thalia here. You know, it will just make every ponder, brainstorm, things of that nature just so much worse. Note my opponent does this main phase to play around me dumping a Caracas into play. So the choice that I obviously have 3 choices this turn about what I'm going to do. It can be Recruiter for some value card, such as Sanctum Prelate. It can be just jam the Brimaz onto the board. It can be run the Mom out there. I think I just want to get... the Brimaz is so much better if I leave it until I have one of the 3 Caracas. This isn't a play that provides pressure, which I dislike, but otherwise, this is fine. So the choice here is between Jailer and Sanctum Prelate. I'm going to grab my Jailer. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'll play it immediately if I draw a 4th land, but it'll be on my mind. So for example, if my opponent just goes land, go, ooh, my opponent has missed a land drop. So now this Palace Jailer is pretty darn likely to resolve. I'm not going to make an attack this turn, which may seem a little bit weird, but I'm going to play around my opponent like flashing in a Snapcaster Mage and then removing one of my creatures. Oh, good lord. That's really strong. I don't necessarily want to play this into a counter spell. At the same time, I don't necessarily want to play this into counterspell either. I think I'm going to do a pre-combat Brimaz. See how my opponent responds to it. I think I'm okay with making an attack here. And I'm going to go ahead and wasteland my opponent on their turn. That way they are not going to have mana up for something like a Spell Pierce or something like that. A actual factual Lightning Bolt in Miracles. All right. This is incredible if my opponent does not have Force of Will. And we will absolutely kill this sucker right away. We're probably going to ride our current resources to victory pretty easily. My opponent's low on cards. They don't have any prospects at getting the Monarch. Yeah. All right. Sword of Truth and Justice seems hot. Council's Judgment, Cataclysm, Gideon, Palace Jailer all seem great as well. I think we have enough cards to bring in that we're not going to need to go like this deep in order to get our sideboard hits. I'll probably start by removing all of my Swords to Plowshares, and I may reevaluate that depending on how many mentors my opponent ends up having. That'll be my starting point, and then I'll probably end up trimming Mother of Runes. So I think I'm comfortable shaving a land. It's a little dicey since I'm bringing in 4 4-drops, which is a greater number of 4-drops than I usually am, but these games are frequently going to go long. I think I'm actually going to junk a Jitte and a Mom. Jitte is pretty medium in this matchup most of the time, although we saw it do some disgusting things right there. But since we're bringing a Sword of Truth and Justice to replace it, I'm still going to have equipment to fetch as the game goes long. We have a very medium hand that I'll be keeping on the strength of Aether Vial. I'll be pretty sad if this gets countered, because 3 of the cards in my hand are currently uncastable. Things that are on my radar right now. My opponent may have Arkham's Astrolabe in their deck with all of these Snowlands. There may be things like Renin 6 or Magnetic Sinkhole shoved into this deck as well. So I'm just going to need to keep some of this sort of stuff in mind. The choice here is between porting my opponent and just casting Tomic. I want to vial in Stoneforge Mystic. My hand is really going to suck if I lose this vial. So if my opponent has like actual factual disenchant right now and disenchants the vial on this turn, then porting them ends up being very bad. But, you know, it is what it is if that occurs. Can't think of a reason why I would need to wait to do that until after the fetch resolves. Notice my opponent's good habits there in fetching during the upkeep. Okay, yeah, there's the Astrolabe. It's quite good. With this around, my porting becomes much weaker. So rather than continue to port, I think I'm actually just going to cast a creature. Casting my Tomic will let me make a connection with a sword next turn. So given the cards that I'm seeing, I'm actually thinking my opponent is now the blue-white-red Mentor deck rather than actual Miracles. That's a slight nuisance, but it's not that big of a deal. That is insanely good. I kind of want to cast it and then hold up Flicker Wisp rather than just Violet in. It's awkward. I get bit in the butt super hard by Force of Will. So maybe I shouldn't even do that. Can like double port my opponent in their upkeep, go to draw step, put in Prelate. I think I like that. Note, we are going to let them draw and then do this, just in case they are still Miracles and I need to play around Terminus. So at this point, we're going to say always no to that one. I'm not really sure that I want to use a council judgment on a Vendilion click. Yeah, I don't think I do. Magmatic sinkhole. So my opponent will get a chance to like brainstorm and such. Sure. Thought I said it. Oh, right. I know it. Always no to that. Always yield to that. I don't know if my opponent is sandbagging lands for this Cataclysm, because they saw it with my Vendilion click. So it is possible that they're holding back, and that I shouldn't necessarily just jam this. I don't think I need to Cataclysm right now. And I think triple porting down like literally all of my opponent's lands is very, very powerful. So I'm just going to go ahead and play that out. I'm going to go ahead and tap a second one down now, and then we'll get the other one in their draw step. I'm debating whether or not I want to play around a second magmatic sinkhole. I don't think that I do. Could just trade with this click and take it off the table. I could also just take the hit and increase my clock to 5 damage a turn and just 3 turn my opponent, which I think is better. I'm okay with casting this Thalia, as relatively speaking, it has about the same effect as porting. The only way it doesn't is if my opponent has something like Force of Will, and if they have a Force of Will, I'm kind of okay with that. Yep. Okay. That's about where I thought that was going to go. Now we'll use the Council's Judgment to remove... Oh, no, we won't. No, we won't. That is a disgustingly good top deck. All right. Good stuff. So ultimately, I think that was Blue-White Red Mentor, not Miracles. I should have identified that a little bit sooner, but given the start that I saw at the other game, I just didn't make that immediate affirmation once I saw the Lightning Bolt, because a lot of players like Anurag Das have been playing very strange Miracles lists to try to adapt for the metagame. Anyway, I'll see you all tomorrow.